Greetings, Robertss. Wow, that's censored. Wow, that's censored. Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another video on the Commander Radix channel. That's right, somehow you ended up here. You could be doing anything you want to be doing right now, but you're here with me in the Rad Cave. Let me cut to the chase. There's been a trend going on recently. I don't know if it's recent, I haven't checked the dates of these videos, but YouTube has been recommending me a lot of videos recently, where these YouTubers ask their audience for, what is your assumptions of me? And then they react to what the audience assumes of them. Did I say that right? My air conditioning is making a weird sound. That's not reassuring. My rice cooker has also been making weird sounds. A lot could go wrong during this video, but just bear with me. But anyway, I decided to ask my audience, what do you assume about me? Because if I'm honest, I don't think a lot of you get it. I don't think a lot of people... I think you guys have a lot of misconceptions about me. That's how I'll say it. So I was going to go to Twitter to ask you guys, what are your misconceptions about, or what are your assumptions of me? I shouldn't assume misconception, because you might assume something right. But what are your assumptions about me? And of course, you know what happened with Twitter. So I went to the next best option of using the YouTube community tab. How many of you even see the YouTube community tab? Anyway, I asked what your assumptions about me were on there, and we got a few responses, so we're gonna react to those a little bit. I realized one flaw in my plan, and that was I was going to look at the responses on my phone, but I am currently recording this video with my phone, so I need to rethink a few things here. While I'm getting stuff ready, I should say that we do have a new Twitter at Commander_Radix. I've already put a lot of G.I. Joe memes up there. You also might notice there's a lot of green behind me. That's because I read an article that said the color green, emerald green in particular, motivates people more. So I'm like, that sounds like bullcrap, but I'll believe it. Do I even have the YouTube app on this thing? I tried to go to the community tab on my phone, on my tablet, and you know what it says? Sorry, community posts are only available on your computer and the latest version of the YouTube app on mobile phones right now. So I can't check it on my tablet, you see. I guess computer it is. You can't do anything right, Radix. Now's the time for you to... I'm censoring that because that's probably going to get me demonetized. While I'm here, I also made another community post talking about how I used to make Transformers lore documentaries, and by used to, I mean I made one, which is basically a Transformers lore episode focusing on one character and going in-depth throughout their entire history. The last one I did was on Nemesis Prime, but I've decided, people have asked me all the time, Radix, what's your favorite Transformer? I'm like, I don't have a favorite Transformer. I thought about it. I do have a favorite character in the Transformers universe, a character that I like more than any other character in the Transformers universe. And so I'm going to do a Transformers lore documentary on that character. On my community tab, I'm leaving it open for people to guess who that character is, and if you get that character right, you get, props in the video. You get a little bit of a shout out there. So, throw your guesses over there. Okay, it's on a picture with a dabbing Roblox man. I've seen a few videos on YouTube going around, and I thought I'd do one too. What are your assumptions about me? Please comment your assumptions here, and I'll make a video taking a look at them, assuming I get enough comments. And we kinda did. Joshua Adkins, the Lays Boy, says, you use dark memes as a cry for help in this infinitely depressing world of true agony. I never thought of it that way. But you know what? I might say that... Let me try to answer this seriously. I'm thinking about this question, this assumption seriously, and I'm leaning towards yes. I think I use dank memes. Oh, he said dark memes. I think I use dark memes as like a stress relief, as like a... Basically, a lot of the stuff that goes around in the world I think is just immensely retarded. And I'm like, why do I live in a world where all this stupidity goes on? And so dark memes exist to make fun of that. A lot of my Nazi memes are used to sort of... Why do I do Nazi memes? I guess I use Nazi memes just because, and this isn't so much the case anymore these days, but back when I started doing it, there's an interesting history of me with Nazi memes. I won't get into the whole thing, but basically I did it basically as a, what's the word? Sign, symbol, representation, gesture. I've cycled through so many words right now. But basically I don't like the idea that a political party that existed in Germany like 70 years ago is like being held to the gold standard of evil, and that they're the go-to bad guys. And I'm like, alright, we can move on now. So I like to use Nazi memes as a bit of a joke. And basically it's not good to have something to fear that much, so if you turn them into a joke, then you don't really necessarily fear them that much. And once you laugh at them, they don't really have any power over you. And I think that's a sort of source of a lot of my memes, that it takes something that has power over you in some way, shape, or form, and but it's trying to make them a joke, their very existence a joke, so that you end up laughing at them, and that's one less chain holding you down. I can't look at a backlog of all the memes I've ever posted to try to see if those all follow that train of thought. I don't consciously do this, but if I'm to look into my psyche, I'd probably say that's why I use dark memes, to break one more chain of oppression. Wow, that sounded stupid. But self-deprecating memes and memes making fun of myself is just because I legitimately hate myself and want to die. Chris K says, I enjoy most of your content, even when had stopped doing Transformer videos, but I think your take as a historian on Transformers has and will be the greatest thing the Transformer community has ever seen. Thanks to your historian videos, I have a great interest in history and have started watching the video game Historian. Also, need more advice, God. Well, none of those are assumptions. I think you misread the prompt. I have been planning to make a new advice god, but, you know, I've been saying I've been making plans to make a new advice god for about 2 years now, but I have been planning one. I have the concept in my head, I just need to get around to doing it. I've had the concept in my head like 2 years, shortly after giving terrible legal advice on Yahoo Answers, I'm like, and this is what I'm going to do next. This is going to complete the trilogy. You know, it's my Avengers Endgame of the Advice God saga. And then I just never got around to doing it. Unlike Battlefield 1942, I still have where that story is going. And in my head, I'm like, the last Battlefield 1942 video I made was like, what, 5 months ago? I think it's been over 2 years now. But I'll get to it. With this daily upload schedule, I find myself actually making the videos I say I was going to make. For example, the story of LazyCon 2019 was supposed to come out a few months ago. My Transformers Energon Defense video, I said I was going to make like around 2 years ago. So now I'm actually making videos. This daily upload schedule has forced me to make videos I always say I'm going to make, but never actually make them. So now they're actually coming out. So Advice God 3, the conclusion, should be coming at some point. Although, I have some more ideas beyond that. But the main story arc of me becoming a god, if I stop at number 3, it will end at a point where it's like a satisfying conclusion. Like, okay, that's the ending. That's the ending of that strange saga. Mark Dark 04. I actually like that, Mark Dark. My biggest assumption about you is that you really don't like where the Transformers franchise is heading. I guess you could say that. I think it's more of, I don't like where the Transformers franchise is now. I didn't like where it was heading, and then it headed to it. It headed to it. It reached that point. And now I'm upset with where it's at, and I'm not seeing any effort to clean up the stuff. You know, they announced, and I'm not really sure this is a reliable source, because they've announced stuff like this countless times before and was fake news, but they talked about making a Beast Wars movie. Like, they announced that like 2 days ago, from when I'm recording this. And, I don't know if you guys seen my video where I rant about how a Beast Wars movie is a terrible idea, but if you haven't checked that out, look that up. Jab Transformer says, you're a very down-to-earth guy. You've learned the way things work in the world, and you are the man of sorts. I think two of these, it depends on how you look at it, and one of them, the easiest one to address is you learn the way things work in the world. I try to, but I think I have a lot more to learn, but I think valuing trying to figure out how things work in the world is one of my top values. That's not English. I don't know what you mean by you are the man of sorts. I guess the bare minimum you can interpret from that statement is that I am of the male gender, which I guess is accurate. I guess you could assume about me. Did you just assume my gender? You are a very down-to-earth guy. And this one I had to think about because it really depends on what you mean by down-to-earth. If you mean overly realistic to the point I'm pessimistic, and if that makes me ground to earth, is that the phrase? Down to earth. If being pessimistic makes me down to earth, and I can see how you might be able to get that from that, then sure. But also, like, I spend a lot of time, like, thinking. You know, I fashion myself a sort of philosopher. Except, why would I call myself a philosopher? What am I, the Greeks? But I don't typically associate down to earth with the type of people who, like, stay up for 5 hours late at night thinking about what makes an individual, you know, thinking about basically a lot of philosophy stuff that goes on in here that isn't, I wouldn't necessarily call down to earth. And it's not like I'm thinking that we're unicorns or anything, but it's like down to earth. I think when I think down to earth, I think a simple farmer who's just trying to get some food to eat and not thinking about the philosophical meaning of it all. So down to earth, I think it really depends on what you mean by that. Yeah. Robert Holmes says, well, you seem like a nice guy, that's all I have to say. And when I saw this, it confused me. Because I don't think I'm a nice guy. I don't necessarily value being nice, depending on how you define it. I think nice is one of those adjectives we throw around a lot that doesn't mean, it's gotten to the point where it doesn't mean anything. It's like you meet someone and on the virtue of them not pulling out a gun and robbing you right then and there, support me on patreon.com. On the virtue of them not doing that, well, you're a nice guy. I don't think that's how we should measure niceness. I think we should measure niceness based on basically people doing something good for other people without their own interest in mind, and to a general audience, not general, that's not the word, but to the general populace, like even to strangers. Like you could do nice things to people you know and have respect, like your family and friends. But if you do that, I still don't think that makes you a nice person. I think to be considered a nice person, you have to be, you have to do that to like strangers and stuff like that. I don't think I'm like that. I think I have a severe lack of empathy, so much that it's scary, and that I pretty much just go through the movements of what people consider to be nice. But besides that, especially online, here's the thing about me online. Real life is full of so much obligations and so much social constructs, social standards, that the internet is kind of where it doesn't matter. It doesn't really matter on the internet, or it shouldn't matter. Back in the old days of the internet where everything was super anonymous. I don't like the new internet, how it's heading more towards your identity being public. I definitely oppose that, because I think the internet is a place to, what's the word, like a release valve for, like, you know, stuff to express yourself, who you are, from a deeper standpoint, and not have to worry about any real repercussions about that, at least in an ideal world, even though sometimes repercussions have to play out, you know, when you're doxxed or something. But who I am online is an entirely different person than who I am in real life. Frankly, I think the online version of me is probably the one that's more honest with themselves. You know, or I guess it might be a better way that it might be a better way to put it that I call things how I see it online, as opposed to IRL, where I see something that's stupid and I'm like, oh, that's cool, man, and die inside. I think one of my weaknesses lately is seeing comments that I disagree with or I think are bad, and just immediately, like, pointing them out and commenting on those comments. But I realize that if I spend all my time talking about comments that I don't like, that's just going to be a big source of negativity. You know, if every time I see a comment I disagree with, I engage them in the comments and argue with them, or every time I see a comment that's weird and I post it on Twitter, I think that's just going to give me more of a negative vibe. And I don't necessarily need that negative vibe, But back to the topic of me being nice. I challenge you to name one nice thing I've done. Like that. I challenge you to name one nice thing. One nice thing I've done for the general audience besides put up YouTube videos, because I get paid for those. So that's not necessarily not in my interest. That's not necessarily a selfless deed. And because I don't take the internet seriously, for the most part, most of my engagement, most of my interaction with my viewership tends to be negative. It tends to be me calling out posts I don't like, making fun of people on Twitter. Recently I got into a fight with the DC Wiki, and you know, I got banned on Twitter for memeing on a bot, which I still rank among one of my highest achievements. I think the internet is where you are supposed to, like, because, like, say you look stupid, you go in the world, nobody's going to say you look stupid, but everyone's going to think you look stupid. On the internet, you don't have that, necessarily that barrier where you have to, like, act cordial and say, you look great, man. You can be an anonymous person in the crowd saying, hey, yo, you look stupid. And that person will be like, oh, I look stupid. And then, you know, they'll put a little bit more effort into fixing themselves up, and then they'll go out into the real world, and people are like, hey, I like your new look. And you're like, wow, you never said that I look stupid, though. But so the people online had to say that. I think online might be a better place to gauge, like, human honesty, maybe. And I pray to God the internet stays this anonymous Wild West, even though I know it slowly isn't going to be that. And that hurts. That hurts so much to know. The Commander Radix persona is supposed to be someone who's arrogant, who's headstrong with his opinions, willing to say his opinions when it comes to mind, and says their opinions, you know, without holding back, which is the complete opposite of what I do in real life. I think this is interesting. I have a theory that people who value nice people only really see themselves with, like, well, maybe not only, but people who value nice people are like, maybe they themselves see something in them that they don't think is nice about themselves. I tend to look up to jerks. I tend to look up to people like General Sam, to Digibro, because I admire in them their confidence and how unrelenting they are with their own confidence, and how they seem, how frankly a lot of the problems I have psychologically, like the things that stress me out, don't tend to stress them out, because I tend to stress how people think of me, really how people think of me IRL. But I look at these people who just don't care about what other people think about them, and I'm like, you know what, that's pretty cool. And I think they're honest people because of it, because they have nothing to gain from being their honest selves. And I'm like, that's cool. As opposed to someone who's nice, because whenever I see someone nice, I'm like, you can't really be like that. Like, that can't really be you. I'm always skeptical of people like that. So I would not call myself nice, and I think calling myself nice might miss the whole point of the Commander Radix channel, to be honest. The point ain't to be nice. Well, that went on longer than I thought it would. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Support me on Patreon if you have not yet. In fact, if you have any more assumptions you have about me, leave them in the comments below. One of the points of the Commander Radix channel is to make myself understood, and I think my audience in particular misunderstands a lot about me, so let me hear your assumptions in the comments below, and maybe I'll make a sequel video to this, you know, gauging if your assumption about me was right, or if they were wrong. Yeah. Check out my social media links in the description below, including my new Twitter. If you were following me before, you aren't following me now, because I had to get a new one because I sent death threats to a bot. And yeah, have a great day, ladies and gentlemen. Greetings, Robertss. Wow, that's censored. Wow, that's censored. Huge thanks to our patrons, including this month's $10 plus patron, Josh Adkins. Check out the description for more patrons and more info about how you can receive a shout out here. City streets and tourniquets, puppet strings and marionettes.